Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sunday Surefire podcast. I'm your host, the commish. Joining me today is the co-host, my guy, Ethan Weaver.
Kamish, how we doing?
Doing good, Ethan. Doing pretty good, man. We are a week out now from the NFL drafts, so it's all things are all good up here in New England, man. Spring's finally a little bit in the air. We got these prospects we've been talking about at length here, and the process of the evaluation of these guys is coming to an end, and we're going to get some final answers with the draft coming up here. So I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to that.
Looking very much forward to it. I've been saying it over and over again. The final piece of the puzzle is almost here. Draft weekend for the is always one of the best days in the NFL calendar.
Yep, a lot of fun, especially for dynasty managers. Just a great time of year to be involved in dynasty. For today's episode, we're going to be doing another mock draft here. We're going to be doing a 3 round, 12 team super flex draft. That's also a pretty heavy tight end premium league. So we're going to do 1.75 for the tight end position for receptions, and then we're also going to do full PPR for other positions, as well as 6 points per passing touchdown for the quarterback. So I would say this is my favorite format out there right now. It's kind of the one we've been mocking the majority of the time here. So we'll keep it consistent with that theme. We're going to be alternating picks back and forth here. I'll be on the odd number picks. You get to be the even numbered picks, which means that your boy, the commish, is on the clock with the 101 here. And I thought about maybe spicing this up a little bit. Is it going to be hot takey? But I decided, no, we're just going to go chalk here with the 101. I'm going to go Ashton Genty out of Boise State here. The guy doesn't need a big sell job at this
Wow,
point. I
wow.
know. Crazy. Really stop the presses. Genty at 101. But, he's consensus for a reason. He can do everything out there on the field. He's going to be the first running back taken in the NFL draft, and I'm not going to overthink it on this one here. And now the draft can actually start when we get to 102.
Yeah, solid pick. 1-1 in all formats. And I don't think it's the only way it's close is maybe if somebody is absolutely, absolutely desperate for a quarterback. But that brings me to the 102, and I'm going to go Marianne Hampton, keep the running back train going. I believe Hampton's going to be a first round pick. I mean, he's a big back, 6 feet, 211, very athletic. I think he is going to do work in the NFL, and he's going to be a workhorse for whatever team that drafts him in the first round. And if he gets first round draft capital, that's just going to mean a lot of opportunity for Hampton. So I'm going with the upside with Hampton here. I know you can go in another direction, depending on team need and whatnot, where I think you're going to go at the 103.
Yeah, team need plays a factor at 102, 103, what you're going to do. But I mean, I like Hampton as the if it's a 102 off the board. I mean, like first round running backs, you don't see a ton of those in the NFL anymore. Guys got the prerequisite size to be an absolute load at the NFL level. So I like that call with Hampton at 102. For me, I'm going to pick the top quarterback prospect off the board here in Cam Ward at the 103. Look, super flex format, and with it being 6 points for a passing touchdown. I'm going to go with the guy who the Titans are going to be drafting number one overall in all likelihood come the draft opening on this Thursday or next Thursday. So with that top draft capital, you get a long runway to be successful. Every opportunity under the sun, really, for that player to pan out, which means more opportunities to start games, which means more opportunities to score fantasy points. And look, as we know in Superflex, you can never have enough quarterback depth, and this draft isn't considerably deep at the position. So if I can pick off the top quarterback prospect on the board here at the 103, I was happy to do it.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy call there with Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward has a lot of talent, and he's definitely warranted in the top three. If in a different scenario, if Hampton isn't a first round pick, let's say he's a early second round pick, Cam Ward's. I mean, we all believe he's going to go 1 to Tennessee, and you don't really have need a running back. You don't really need a quarterback. Who would you go in a vacuum, Ward or Hampton?
At the moment, I'm probably lean Hampton. I mean, second round running back is perfectly fine capital for in the modern NFL. I don't see a big difference honestly if he goes 28 or if he goes whatever 35. Like that doesn't really change the equation much for me in terms of Hampton. So yeah, I kind of would like in a vacuum. I like Hampton better at 102 at this point in the process, but obviously, like you said earlier, team need could sway that.
No, I agree. I agree. Hampton, I think, is a pretty locked and loaded prospect. As I said, I think he's going to be a workhorse at the NFL level. But I mean, Cam Ward, I think he does have the tools to be successful. So, but no, it'll be fun to see where Hampton goes in the real NFL draft. That brings me to the 104. I'm leaning into the format and going Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. I mean, just 6'6", 257. I mean, did everything in college. I mean, he lined up everywhere, kind of a Swiss Army knife. I believe he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, which signifies a lot of opportunity for Warren. I think he can be heavily utilized in the receiving game. So if the NFL is telling me he's a top 10 pick, I mean, he's going to get the usage we want in tight end premium league. So I think I would be very happy to get him at the 104.
Yeah, Warren should be the first tight end selected in the NFL draft. I mean, just for what he can do in the blocking game as well as what he can do in the receiving game. I think he's the most complete tight end in this draft for sure. And yeah, heavy tight end premium formats. These guys are essentially cheat codes when it comes to fantasy scoring, and you can start two or three of them. So even if you have a good tight end on your roster that you feel really good about, like you can start another tight end in your flex spot, and you'll feel really good about that, especially if you're getting a highly productive one. So like the Warren pick. I think he's going to be a good producer. But I went wide receiver at the 105 here, going Ted McMillan out of Arizona. And he seems to be fading just a little bit in dynasty circles this offseason. Not a ton, but there's been a little bit of movement on him depending on where you look. And I think that really just comes down to us as managers having a lot of time off this time of year to kind of really just dive into these prospects and find little things here. So maybe some of that's popped up with Tet, maybe not in some people's books, but I'm not letting him get outside the top 5 picks in this draft. He's going to be a first round pick, whether some other guys sneak up ahead of him in the actual NFL draft or not. I don't really care. I'm just going to lean into what I've seen out of Tet the last 2 years at Arizona, and that big frame just screams touchdown upside at the next level, and I want pieces of it on my dynasty team.
I do agree that Tet's kind of been falling, and as you said, in the dynasty circles, and it sounds like sometimes in NFL circles as well. So he's definitely going to be a name to look for next Thursday night. I mean, he's going to be a first round pick. I feel like in the beginning of this process, people were locking him as top 10. Now they're saying he might not even be a top 20 selection. So it'll be very interesting. But I do think he should be the first receiver off your dynasty board. But obviously, the NFL, they love their speed. I mean, there's rumors that Golden could be the wide receiver one in the NFL draft. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can happen, but I think Tet is he's still the wide receiver one on my board, and to get the wide receiver one in the class at the 105, I think is a solid selection.
Are you buying into that speed here at 106 with Golden?
No, I am not. Come on, you know me. I got to go back to the running back. Well,
There you go.
I'm going to my RB3, Quinshon Judkins. I just think this guy, with his size and his power and his contact balance, I see big things for him in the NFL. He gives me a little of that Kamara vibes. Just, I mean, this just strong, athletic guy that just he's hard to bring down. But Judkins, I really hope he can get potentially top 40, top 50 capital, and I think it's gonna be wheels up for him. But Judkins is a guy I really like in this draft class.
I like Judkins too. I actually double tapped the Ohio State backs. We did this in our last mock draft too with the
Yeah.
or no, we didn't actually. They were both first round picks in our last mock. But I don't think they went back to back last time. But anyway, in any event, we're doing that tonight. We're going back to back Buckeyes here. Judkins at 106. I'm going Henderson at 107. I think he's a guy who has the ability to be an electrifying playmaker at the next level. A guy he could do his damage on the ground but also in the receiving department. He just screams third down upside too, where like he's just going to live on those downs, catching passes in these full PPR leagues that most leagues are now. I think that just makes him even more of a weapon in the fantasy game, and I just couldn't be happier to get him here in the middle of round one, and I'm a little curious to see where exactly he ends up in the NFL draft. But I think no matter what, he's going to be an upgrade to any running back room that he lands in, and I was happy to get my hands on him here.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes to a place where they're going to utilize him in the way that he should be utilized. Like, let's say a Ben Johnson offense, right? In Chicago. Let's say Chicago takes an early second round flyer on Henderson. I mean, I could easily see him vault up to my RB3. I mean, Henderson's a very talented back, and if utilized in heavily in that receiving game in PPR formats, he's going to be a weapon in the NFL and on your fantasy team. So I do like Henderson quite a bit. So that brings me to the 108, and I'm going to steal your guy again, Kamish. I'm going
Do it.
Colson Loveland,
Do it.
tight end out of Michigan. Again, leaning into the format. A lot of people, I think Kamish included, have Loveland as their tight end one. And he's a guy that I think can be a very big weapon in the receiving game in the NFL. Warren may be the complete tight end, but guess what? In fantasy football, we don't really care about the blocking. We care about the guys that are catching passes, and Loveland can do just that. I mean, he can be that kind of Travis Kelce type. Not saying he's Travis Kelce, but Travis Kelce, we all know he doesn't grind out the blocking and things like that.
No, sir.
He's a little more finesse. So Colson Loveland at the 108. I think he's going to be top 15 pick. I think top 20 at the worst. So another first round tight end in the books in the NFL draft. And I think a locked and loaded pick at the 108 for me.
Yeah, love this pick. I was going to take it with the next one, but you sniped him here in the format, but and good on you for doing it. I was saying Colson Level was my tight end one before people were saying it was cool to have Colson Level as your tight end
Sure,
one.
bro. Whatever
Yeah,
you
hey,
say.
check as the kids say, check the receipts.
No, he
You know
has
those
receipts. He has receipts.
those receipts are out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Loveland's for the reasons you mentioned. Like I did say earlier in this episode that Tyler Warren should be the first tight end selected in the NFL draft. I stand by that because of what Warren can do in the blocking game. I think Loveland's a capable blocker. He can do it just fine. I think Warren's going to do it at a higher level, and Loveland blocks well enough to be out there where it's not going to limit his ability to play snaps. But he's going to be the more dynamic pass catcher, which is what we want for fantasy. So I love me some Loveland at 108. So great pick there. But I had to pivot, not getting him here. So at the 109, I decided to go with Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. The thumper out of that our guy Aaron Downtown Brown would love, being a Hawkeyes fan. Big guy here, 6'1", 224, guy that just has the frame to be an NFL workhorse. And if he lands in the right situation, he could be just crazy productive on the ground. And I know kind of the around combine time, him running that 4.57 40 wasn't exactly what we wanted to see. Like, did we want him to be a little faster? Sure, of course we did. But I mean, like I said, he's 224. Like the guy's that's perfectly serviceable 40 time. I'm not going to let that slip in my rankings. And if other people want to let him drop down dynasty boards, I'm going to be happy to scarf up shares of him at a little bit of a discount if I can do it. And like I said, if this guy gets the right fit in round 2 of the NFL draft for a landing spot, he could be a double-digit touchdown guy easily.
Easily. And as you said, I hope he falls in rookie drafts because of that 40. I mean, a 4.57, it's still over 100 speed score, but I mean, he's a big back. I mean, David Montgomery, he was in the 4.6s. Josh Jacobs, 4.6s. James Conner, 4.6s. They're all great running backs. They're great on your fantasy team. No, I don't think anything's going to change with Caleb Johnson. He as far as I'm concerned, I've said it before, he ran in the 4.5s. He checked the box. I think it still wheels up for Caleb Johnson. So I definitely like that pick at the 109. I left the running back train here, 110. I went Emeka Egbuka out of the Ohio State University. I think he's arguably the safest receiver in this class. I think he is going to be a PPR machine in the NFL. The latest mock draft by Chad Reuter had him going 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. I don't really get the fit there with Jackson Smith Njigba, but I do think Emeka Egbuka is going to be a first round receiver. And as I said, I think he's very safe. So I was happy to get him in the back end of the first round.
Yeah, I think Egbuka is one of the safest running back prospects in this draft. He's my WR2 at the moment right now, and so I really like this pick here at the 110. He's one of those guys that he's been at Ohio State for a while and played with a lot of great players. I mean, in his time there, he played with Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Smith as well, who's going to be a 2027 1.01 probably. So, I mean, there's a lot. He shared the field with a lot of great players, and he doesn't have the shine a lot of those guys do. And I think some of that's warranted, some of it maybe not, but I really think he's a safe pro, and maybe he's not going to be Justin Jefferson ever. I think that's probably fair to say, but I think there's no reason he can't be a nice high floor producer for your fantasy team with upside for a little more than that. And if you're getting him in the late stages of round one in your drafts, I think it's no brainer selection there at the 110. But I'm going to go complete opposite of what I just said in terms of like high floor, maybe a lower ceiling, and I'm going to go with that ceiling that we touched on earlier with Matthew Golden at the 111 out of Texas. And the reason he has such a high ceiling and the reason he's going to be a first round NFL draft selection is the speed. Like you just can't teach 4.29 speed, folks. Like Golden is going to be a guy out there who could fly. So, scouts are going to endear themselves to that. There's going to be talk that even though he's not a perfectly refined prospect by any means, he's going to go in round one because he has that ability to be a game breaker. If he can land in the right situation, they can harness that in the right ways. So, I don't necessarily think he's like the material to be the first receiver off the board in the NFL draft, but that could happen, but he's going to go in round one either way. So I'm not thinking too hard here. In the late stages of the first round of Superflex drafts, I'm perfectly confident taking my shot on Matthew Golden of Texas.
Yeah, I think Golden has a chance to be the first wide receiver off the board because of that speed. It's always funny because we always say, "Hey, don't overreact to the NFL Combine," but yet, I mean, if you run a 4.2 as a receiver, everyone overreacts. Oh, he's the number one receiver off the board. I mean, Isaiah Bond. I mean, out of Texas. I mean, he almost seems like he plays faster sometimes when you watch him. Matthew Golden. I mean, does he play as a 4.29 guy? I mean, we'll see soon enough in the NFL, but with that kind of speed and with that, if he is the first wide receiver off the board with that kind of capital, to get him at the back end of the first round, it's not a bad selection here. And that brings me to the 112 to wrap up the first round. And I'm going to go Luther Burden out of Missouri here. Another guy that's kind of, I feel like, falling down the ranks in the Dynasty community and even the NFL community. He's looking more and more to be a second round selection in the real NFL draft, which still isn't bad. But Luther Burden, he's a guy I still definitely like. I mean, has decent size, and I mean 6 feet 206. I mean he performed well at the combine 4.41. I mean in 2024, he kind of had a drop in production from his 2023 season. I think you can chalk that up to the quarterback play and other factors there. But I think Luther Burden still has the ability and skill set to thrive in the NFL, and it'll be very interesting to see where he goes. I hope he can slide into the first round, but I mean, even early second round isn't a death sentence. I mean, look at Ladd McConkey last year, but Luther Burden at the 112, I'm pretty happy with that selection.
Yeah, second round capital would not be the end of the world for Burden, even though scouts do seem to be sour on him somewhat. The right fit would go a long way, and I think in alleviating a lot of concerns for Burden for sure. But that puts a pin in round one. I'll recap it quickly before we move on to round two. The 101, we had Ashton Genty. 102 was Omarion Hampton. 103, Cam Ward. 104, Tyler Warren. 105, Tedoroa McMillan. 106, Quinshawn Judkins. 107, Travion Henderson. 108, Colston Loveland. 109, Caleb Johnson. 110, Emeka Egbuka. 111, Matthew Golden. 112, Luther Burden. And that brings me back to the clock here to open up round two here. I'm going to go quarterback, maybe not the one folks are expecting here. We'll get to him here shortly, but I'm going to go with my boy, my QB2 in this class, my guy Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss here. Just the second quarterback off the board overall, which might be a surprise to some, but I think you and I got here pretty confidently, so we'll stick to that. I just think Dart has all the tools to be successful as an NFL starter. And what exactly the league thinks of him on draft day it remains to be seen. I mean, I've seen some mocks where he's going in the top 10, and I've seen others where he's slipping to the second round. So that's kind of a wide range of outcomes depending on who you follow. But we're going to get that answer next week, and I'm looking forward to getting that personally. I think he's a first round talent for sure, especially in a class that's kind of bereft of high level quarterback play. And we know how starving a lot of NFL teams are for upside at the position. I think Dart offers that in spades. So for that reason, I couldn't let him slip too far outside of round one, taking him here at the top of the second round.
I think it's a nice selection. Honestly, I took Luther Burden at the 112, but if Luther Burden slips to the second round and you have guys like Jackson Dart or Shador Sanders who are top 10 picks, potentially top three picks, I obviously I think I would take Jackson Dart or Shador Sanders at the 112. I think that would
Yeah,
be obviously a steal value wise. But obviously we're doing this pre NFL draft. So we're just kind of going off the information that we have and just kind of the evaluations that we have.
yes,
But
sir.
Jackson Dart, I know he's been your QB2 for a while now. I agree that I do think he has all the tools. I think he has more. I think he has better physical tools than Shador Sanders. But as I always said, I let the NFL kind of do the talking with QBs. If these guys are top 10 picks, sign me up. But I mean, if they're falling to the second round, obviously they lose their shine a little bit. So time will tell. That leaves me to the 202. Can't let the Heisman Trophy winner keep falling here. Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Obviously, I mean, he's such a mystery here in the NFL draft and more so fantasy circles because is he going to play more receiver? Is he going to be playing more DB? I know we've had many conversations. I don't know why he wouldn't lean into the receiver position considering the money these guys are making compared to the cornerbacks. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Just focus on receiver and just get the bag, right? Just it doesn't make sense. But and I mean, unless he's really trying to parlay into hey, I'm play receiver and a DB and kind of work his way and down that road. But Travis Hunter, he could easily be obviously a first round pick if we get more information on him, which I mean, you might not get that before your rookie draft. So it's he could be an absolute steal for many people if you can get a guy like Travis Hunter in the top of the second round.
Yeah, he's worth the gamble there, even if he's a part-time offensive player and it doesn't pan out for you. I think it's worth taking the cut there to see if you can get an elite playmaker on your hands. And yeah, I would love to see him be a full-time wide receiver. I think every dynasty manager would. And it's he wants to do the both ways thing. That's fine. We'll see how it pans out for him. But hopefully he lands in a spot that needs wide receiver help badly enough where they can't ignore him. Like I mean, if your team is starving for receiver talent and you have this guy sitting there, like him being a corner is like, okay, what are we doing here? If we can't score points, why is this playmaker playing on our defense when we can use him on our offense? So I don't really get it either, but we'll see how it pans out. And as far like I said, when it comes to these Colorado guys, we're going to actually double tap Colorado guys here. The slide for Shedeur Sanders is finally going to come to a stop here at the 203. And I think I can say confidently, just based on our conversations, that I speak for both of us on this one. It's no secret that you and I were not really fans of Shedeur Sanders as a prospect, being a first round pick. Obviously, in this mock, he wasn't a first round pick in our last exercise either. So just to be clear, though, it's got nothing to do with any of the, at least for me anyway, any of the off the field stuff. Him being cocky in interviews, who his dad is, not really interested in any of that personally. I'm just not sold on him being a long term viable NFL starter with like a high upside traits. His arm's fine, I'll say that. I mean, I don't think it's special by any means, and I don't think he's quite as athletic as he thinks he is. Like he's not
No.
some guy who's going to run around there and be like this, Lamar Jackson crazy playmaker with his legs by any means. So I think he's kind of pigeonholed into like if he's going to succeed as a pocket passer at a time where the NFL is really transitioning away from that in a lot of ways. But I think at what 203 here, a lot of that risk has been cut out of it, and the upside at that pick is very much baked into the cost. Where like you can go ahead and get him here at the top of the second round, like even if he is a starter for 3 or 4 years, and he's never a QB1, but he's like a high end to mid range QB2. That does carry value in Superflex, and I think even if you want to take him here, if he gets drafted into a spot where he's not starting right away, when he does get the opportunity to start games, you could probably flip him for a future first round pick at a minimum because NFL teams and dynasty managers are always starving for quarterback play, and he's a high profile name. So I think that there's a place for him in the NFL. I'm just not sure he's going to ever become some high impact producer for your fantasy team. That's why I had him outside the top 12 picks here in this exercise.
Yeah, I mean, if Shador Sanders is a top 10 pick, top three pick, he deserves to be in the first round of your dynasty rookie drafts. I mean, let's be real. Kenny Pickett was a first round pick
Ugh.
a few years ago in dynasty drafts. So Shador Sanders, I mean, just by pure, in my opinion, just in in terms of just trade value. That's why I'd get him, just like you just said. I mean, everybody needs quarterback. So, and if Shador is, I mean, a back end QB too, I mean, they still have some value.
Yeah,
So that
like we just
brings,
said, just to put the pin on this, the last two guys we
yeah,
talked about, both the Colorado kids, where they end up and what their outlook looks like a week from now is going to go a long way in determining where they're actually drafted and where we have them on our boards too.
100%. Yep, 100%. That brings me to 204, and I went Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee, a 5'8", 200-pound junior. He's I mean, a little over 20 years old, one of the youngest in the class, but he's a guy with a lot of speed, and he's a guy I'm excited for. Hopefully, he gets third round capital. But I mean, he had a very good a year, a very good career at Tennessee. As I said before, he wears that Tennessee orange number 6. Gives me that Kamara feel. So, but he's not Alvin Kamara, but I do like Dylan Sampson's game, and I'd be happy to get him in the middle of the 204, middle of the second round. Obviously, a lot can change with the NFL draft. The player I'm going to take in a couple of picks, I could easily see him vaulting him depending how the NFL draft goes.
Yeah, Sampson's got a lot of upside here, so I like him as a second round pick. For my 205, I ended up going with Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, teaming up with Jackson Dart's former teammate. What I like about him, I think he can be an starting X wide receiver right out of the gate in the right landing spot. He was absolutely blowing up last season with Dart at Ole Miss before he was slowed by injuries, then actually ended his season early. On pace for over 1,500 yards, which was going to be a crazy. I think we'd be talking about him differently if he stayed healthy for the duration of the 2024 season, but just wasn't meant to be on that front. I think all this guy needs is round 2 NFL draft capital, and people are going to really start to take notice of him. Maybe you could say this archetype of prospect maybe has a high bust rate. People see like Jonathan Mingos of the world. I think like maybe he can't play, but I think Harris is more polished than that. I think he can do more as a pro, and I was happy to take a crack at him here at the 205.
Hey, if Trey Harris goes to New England in round 2, you might as well just stay away because they can't draft receivers.
Uh,
Hey,
the
could be.
opportunity is there. Maybe just maybe with Josh McDaniels, they can turn and Drake May, they can turn it around. So maybe they're
No,
due to hit one for crying out loud.
one they're due, and obviously if he gets New England capital in the second round, he's a very high second round pick. He's going to be the number one sooner than later with Diggs obviously at age 31. So that would obviously mean a lot of opportunity for Trey Harris. So I think his value would go up, even though New England is not typically known for drafting their receivers well.
We are not.
So that brings me to the 206. Going to stick to running backs, and I'm going Cam Scatterbo. This guy runs like a Tasmanian devil. I mean, it's so hard to bring him down. His contact balance is unbelievable. I mean, he put Arizona State on his back in the college football playoff, and his burst is just through the roof. He had that 39.5-inch vertical, 10 foot 3 inch broad at 5'10", 219 pounds. I mean, very, very solid BMI. I think he can be a very solid back in the NFL. I know people are kind of poo-pooing his 4.65 at the pro day. I get it. It's a pro day, and the 4.6 is not ideal, but I mean, he's a football player, and NFL teams want to draft good football players. So his dynasty value, I think, hinges a ton on draft capital. I think if you can get drafted in the top 4 rounds, I think he's going to get the opportunity he needs. And I think once he gets that opportunity, I think he's going to show out. But it would be awesome to get third round capital. Right now, Chad Reuter has a mocked 120 to the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, that would be a very crowded backfield with Pollard, Spears, and Scadaboo. So it'll be interesting. But he's one of the he's a lot of fun to watch when you put on the tape.
Yeah, the NFL draft is absolutely huge for him, and that's going to be the case for a lot of the guys that we talk about pretty much from this point forward. I mean,
Yeah,
landing spot matters for every prospect, but especially these guys that we're taking, second, certainly as well into the third round. So a lot of guys fall into that category. We'll see where Scat ends up. So looking forward to that. For the 207 though, I went to the wide receiver position. I'm going Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. Tested really, really well at the combine. Productive guy for 2 seasons in college. I like his game a lot for the modern NFL. Maybe this is a guy a little undersized at 5'11". Maybe 20 years ago, I'd be scared off by a player of this archetype. But I think he can be a slot weapon in the NFL and just really fit in seamlessly from day one in the right landing spot. So, like I just said, the landing spot, the draft capital matter for this guy, but I think he has the ability to do damage as a pro in the right spit. And hell, he's even a guy too. He's sneaky. Like he's got a lot of long touchdowns on his resume too for a guy who is a little bit undersized and you don't necessarily think of as a go up and get it type of guy. He can do a little bit of that. So not just your classic kind of old school Patriots East West receiver. I think he can do a little more than that. So big fan of Jalen Nolan. I was happy to grab him at the 207.
Yeah, I think Jalen Noel could be one of these guys. When you look back at the 2025 class, you're gonna be like, "Wow, how did he fall that far into the second round?" This guy, I mean, athletically, he's got it. I mean, you put on the tape, he has, and he was great in the combine and the on-field drills, and he was great, and he crushed the Senior Bowl. This guy has done everything he needed to throughout this entire process to put his name out there and give himself legitimate draft capital. So I'm very excited for Jalen Noel. I think that's a great pick there. That brings me to what are we on here? The 208. And I'm going to go to his teammate, Higgins. Jaden Higgins, I mean, another very athletic guy. I mean, at 6'4", 214, he ran a 4.47 and at a 39-inch vert, 10'8" broad, just a very athletic, big-bodied receiver. I mean, 87 grabs, 1,183 yards, and 9 touchdowns in 2024. Jaden Higgins is I think has a lot of potential with that size and athleticism. I think he's going to get second round draft capital. I'm very excited for the Iowa State Cyclone receivers here.
That's right. We double tapped him again. Yeah, Higgins is a good pro too. Very different from Noel. Two guys that complement each
Yes.
other very well in their playing days together. But I think they're good NFL prospects for different reasons. So I was a fan of that pick at 208. Now it's my turn to take a tight end here, Ethan, at the 219. You pick the first couple guys off there. I have Elijah Arroyo as my tight end 3 of this class pretty easily, honestly. And we talk all the time on the show about how when it comes to these tight end prospects, what we want are athleticism and opportunity. And so I think where we don't know what his opportunity looks like in his landing spot, the draft capital, all that come out to yet for Arroyo, I think he's got enough, the prerequisite athleticism to be a difference making tight end at the fantasy and on the fantasy landscape. So it's a heavy premium league, like we said off the top. So I was okay taking a shot with him here at the 209. And I'm going to love it in this spot here, especially if he ends up going in the second round of the NFL draft next week.
Yeah, we both like Arroyo a lot. I mean, 6'4", 251. I mean, obviously he had a tough college career with the injuries, but bounced back from those injuries to have a productive 2024. And nobody, word out of the Senior Bowl is nobody's stock rose higher than Arroyo's. He absolutely crushed the Senior Bowl. So if he can get that second round capital, especially in this format with the 175 10 and premium, I think this could be a smash pick late in the second round. So definitely like that pick, especially in this format. Just a lot of upside there. That brings me to the 210, Devin Neal. I think Devin Neal, I mean, if he's a guy that if he can get third round capital, I could easily see him moving up. I feel like he's just a very good football player. 5'11", 213 out of Kansas here. 4.58, not crazy fast, but he's in the 4.5s as a running back. He had decent burst with 37.5-inch vert, 10'4" broad, but I mean, he had 4.3 yards after contact per carry. He had a 36.5% force missed tackle rate, which is top 10% of his class, 9.3% explosive run rate, which is 20 plus yard runs. And he had a 53.7% success rate, which is the upper tier of any running backs, of all the running backs in this class. Devin Neal had a very, very, very good career at Kansas, being the all-time leading rusher. He was all-time leader in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and 100-yard rushing games. So, I mean, a very decorated career at Kansas. So to get a guy like that with that pedigree at the 210, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, Devin Neal is a guy who feels pretty safe to me. and especially in this stage of the draft where we want to take shots on running backs. I'm about to take a lot of running backs here coming up
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, you kept
Uh,
sniping me.
yeah, Ethan's like, I want to get the running back. I'm supposed to be the running back in the late rounds guy, and I ended up being that guy. As we'll see in a minute. But just put the bow on Neil. I mean, I think he's a pretty safe guy like here. Maybe it's something about that the third to last pick in the round where I had Abuka was like that really safe guy for me at the end of round one. I think Neil's is a pretty safe running back prospect. Obviously, those guys are in very different tiers, but Neil's a guy I think you can do everything well enough to stick around in the NFL for a long time. And at the running back position, that's really all you need to be successful, at least in spurts in on the fantasy radar. Is a ton of injuries at the position, so all it takes is one of those where maybe he ends up in a committee, but there's an injury in front of him. Now he's leading the backfield for a month, or maybe even longer if he really takes hold of the job and wins it. So I think I like Devin Neal a lot, especially if I can get him at this price point. But I want to go to a little bit higher upside of a running back here. RJ Harvey, just absolutely crazy college producer over his final two seasons at UCF, over 1,600 scrimmage yards in 2023 and 2024. Had 42 total touchdowns in that time frame as well. So big box score guy if you're into that kind of thing in college. One of the big knocks on him is that he's already 24 years old as a rookie, which I admittedly don't love. I mean, I think age is very relevant. I've talked about that in episodes here, but I'm getting him here at the 211, guys. So like a lot of that is already baked into this price point where a lot of the studs are gone. So you're taking shots on players. And if I can do that in round two or even into round three, I'm happy to do it. So give me RJ Harvey here at the 211.
I like RJ Harvey. Harvey's very high on a lot of people's boards, but I know he's a little older. But for me, I feel like when I first started playing Dynasty, age was so important, right? I mean, if you were like a 25-year-old running back in the league, like in our first Dynasty league, it was time to sell. I think we've come a long way since those days. And I mean, RJ Harvey, he's going to get his rookie contract, and he's going to get another contract if he's successful. So at that point, you're gonna have 4, 5, 6 years of potential production. And usually, I mean, you probably should be looking at your dynasty team in a 3-year lens. So I think what it really hurts is your resale value on these players after the rookie contract. So if you're looking to like, hey, I want to use this guy in his rookie deal and then flip him for a profit, it might be tough if you're 28 years old coming off your rookie contract here or 27 years old.
Sure will.
But I mean, but he crushed the combine 4.40, 38-inch broad, 38-inch vert, 10'7" broad. And he as you said, a lot of production. RJ Harvey climbing up a lot of people's boards. And that brings me to the end of round two. And I just went just pure upside with this. Obviously, this pick can change a lot depending on draft capital, and that's Jalen Milroe, the very, very athletic quarterback out of Alabama. Chad Reuter has him going pick 68, which is right at the beginning of the third round. I hope he gets second round draft capital. I'll put a little Jalen Hurts or something like that. But I mean, he led the team in 2024 with 726 rushing yards, ranked eighth in the FBS with 20 rushing touchdowns, which was second among quarterbacks. And he won the William V. Campbell Trophy, which is the top scholar athlete, academic Heisman, and he was the team captain. So I think Milroe, I think he had a decent 2024 season. Obviously, very raw. I think guys like Anthony Richardson did him no favors in previous draft classes, but somebody's going to take a shot on the athletic Milroe and work with him and try to develop him. And if he can develop and he can hone in those quarterback skills, I mean, he's a freak athlete. I mean, running, I mean, potentially in the 4.3s, low 4.4s. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes on draft night.
Yeah, a lot of outcomes for Milroe. He definitely needs to go to a place where he can sit for a year, maybe 2 years. And
Yeah,
I don't know how realistic that is in the modern NFL, if I'm being honest with you. Like, we
it's
know
like
these
zero.
guys. Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those guys. You see these guys get drafted, like, oh, yeah, he's going to sit for a year or two. And then by training camp, they're like, he's going to push to start this year. And, like,
Yeah.
so
And
there's
then he
no
then he
patience.
sucks and he's back on the bench.
There's no patience anymore, Ethan. And you know
No,
this. Like,
zero.
these teams, they got to get these guys out there. They have to see what they have because these GMs, unless you just got there, their clock's ticking. The head coach, same thing. Like if you don't build a winning team by year 2, you're on the hot seat. So you really has to be the right situation for him. And my worry is from watching him is when we talked about him last time, it was he makes the easy things look hard. And so I wonder, like, where the athleticism's there, the rushing upside's there. That's great. He has the gravy, but is the turkey there? Right? The turkey is the boring stuff, the guy who would stand in the pocket and deliver, hit the check down when it's there, and keep it moving. And then the gravy on top is that rushing upside where you got guys like Josh Allen who are blowing up because they can do both. And the gravy on the turkey is the turkey there with Jalen Milrow. I don't know. Is he just a bowl of gravy that you would never eat by yourself? So lot of outcomes there with him. But I think in the late second round of your dynasty superflex drafts is where a lot of that risk is mitigated, and I'm okay taking a shot on him here. Just for the span of the upside, park him in a taxi squad spot, and hopefully he pans out in a year or two. And if not, it's not the end of the world anyway. But with that here, let me recap round 2 and what we settled on here for this exercise. We had 201 was Jackson Dart, 202 Travis Hunter, 203 Shadur Sanders, 204 Dylan Sampson, 205 Trey Harris, 206 Cam Scatabo, 207 Jalen Knoll, 208 Jaden Higgins, 209 Elijah Arroyo, 210 Devin Neal, 211 RJ Harvey, and then 212 Jalen Milrow out of Alabama. And with that, we're transitioning here to the third round here. And I love me some running backs in round 3. I know Ethan does as well. It's not going to be just RBs. We both picked some other guys as well, but I'm kicking it off with a running back here. I'm going Bayshell Tootin out of Virginia Tech, another massive combine winner who set himself up to make some money here. I think, at least from where he was at coming into the process out of Virginia Tech. I think he's turned himself into potentially even a day 2 draft pick, most likely around 3, but that's perfectly fine if he goes in that range. I like his utility as a receiver, and I think he can give you a little bit, just enough on the ground to be a useful pro. And with it being the third round, I was ready to take a shot on my guy Tootin, the 301.
Hey, Tootin is the exact profile I love to take in the third round. At running backs with insane athletic traits, and nobody fits that bill better than Tootin there. So really good pick there. That brings me to the 302. Knowing who you pick next, I wish I picked that player here at the 302, but I guess I go with my pick here, and that's Alec Ayamaner, receiver, 6'2", 206 pounds, 4'4", 40, 38.5-inch vert, 10'7" broad. I mean, he was second team all ACC, led the team with 63 receptions, 831 receiving yards, and tied for the team lead with 6 receiving touchdowns. I think he has a chance to be a productive NFL receiver. I mean, has the size, has the athleticism. Lance Zierlein thinks is projecting him around 3 or 4. Chad Reuter in his mock has him going around 4. Pick 114 to Carolina. If that's the case, then he's going to fall a lot further than this in my boards. I would much rather have the pick that's going next. But he's a guy with a decent profile that I think if he can get the draft capital opportunity that he could capitalize. But this is actually one of the picks I guess I don't regret, but I think I would have pushed him a little further down the board.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, he's obviously we want running backs this type, and I had a phenomenal 303 pick that I'll get to in a minute. Can't wait to dive into that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the best 303 of all time, folks. They just stop the presses. But I mean, the thing with A.O. Manor is, I mean, he's kind of considered a little bit raw as a developmental guy, but he has a lot of the traits that we want. But
Yep.
the thing is, too, like if you go back to 2023, they played against Colorado, and they played against this Travis Hunter guy who's supposedly like the best DB in the class, maybe top
Cooked
2.
him.
I know who you talked to. Cooked him, destroyed him. Like we talked about turkey, he was burnt turkey, not roast turkey, burnt turkey. Played against Alec Manor when Stanford played Colorado. 13 receptions, 295 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's one day. Like he absolutely killed the Buffalo.
Whoa. Is he a top 10 pick in the NFL draft after that? Come on.
No, he's a third round dynasty pick here. So yeah, like I do like the pick here. I think this is where I'm definitely comfortable taking a shot at a developmental player in Alabama Manor out of Stanford. And if it hits, great. If not, it's a third round pick, and the hit rate's low, so it's all good. But let's get to that great pick that I made that you really like. That's DJ Giddens at the 303 here out of Kansas State. Just continuing hammering that running back theme. like what I saw from Giddens all around, and I was a little surprised he was kind of hanging out on the board here. I kind of thought he might go in round two, but was happy to scarf him up here at the 303. Tested well, 6 foot, 212 pounds, just a sturdy NFL frame. Um, 2 years of 15 plus 100-yard scrimmage yards, and also had a combined 50 passes over those last 2 years in college as well. So gives you a little bit of upside in every single department, and is big enough to carry the load if he has to at the NFL level. So sign me up for GJ Giddens if he's going to be available to me at the 303.
Yeah, I like DJ Giddens a lot. I think he has a lot of upside. As you said, he has the requisite size, the athleticism. If he can kind of tune up his skills in the receiving game, work on his hands a little bit, work on his pass blocking, I think he has all the upside in the world to be a lead back in a committee in the NFL. So really like the DJ Giddens pick. I think he has everything you're looking for with an upside third round selection. That brings me to the 304, and I went back to the tight end well and went with Mason Taylor. Obviously, great lineage. His father, Jason Taylor, but I think Mason Taylor in this format, I mean, 6'5", 246 pounds. He ran a 4.65 at his 40, 7.06 three cone. So a little bit of agility there. 4.65 at that size is not bad either. But Mason Taylor, I'm seeing him mocked a lot in the second round of the NFL draft, and he is a guy that can catch the ball. I mean, he set a school single season record for a tight end with 55 receptions. Only tight end in school history with 100 plus receptions, 1,000 plus receiving yards. Started 12 games, 55, 546, and two touchdowns for the LSU Tigers. And Chad Reuter has him going pick 55 of the Chargers. So if he's a second round pick to the Chargers, I know they just signed Tyler Conklin, but I mean, that would signify that Mason Taylor would be the starting tight end at some point in the next year or two. Maybe 2025, but at this point in the drafts in this format, I'd be happy to take Mason Taylor.
Yeah, definitely in the format. He's worthy of a third round pick for me for sure. I am a little curious what the NFL thinks of the guy. You say he's mocked. Some people have mocked round two. That's like best case scenario to me if he ends up going in the second round. He's a guy that a lot of his production does come off screens and a lot of manufactured touches if you watch the film. So that I'm a little leery on Mason Taylor, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we'll see what the NFL thinks of him. And if he ends up going on day two, we'll see.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like with the mocks and everything I've been seeing with him in round two, and they're pumping him up a little bit. That's kind of why I took him here at the 304. Obviously, if he slides in the NFL draft, things are going to change pretty significantly.
Yeah, we'll see how that one pans out. In a heavy premium league, he's perfectly fine in the third round. But like I said, I'm sticking with running backs here, and I'm going to keep firing here, keep firing these darts away. I'm going to go Brashard Smith out of SMU. A bit of a late bloomer, but he absolutely crushed for the Mustangs in 2024. Cracked the 4.3 range with a 4.39 40-yard dash at the combine, which was nice to see. Always want to see that for guys who were sub 200 pounds, which is what the category that Smith falls into here. Just another guy where the landing spot in the draft capital are going to be huge where we ended up taking him in rookie drafts. But for now, I was happy to grab him here in the third round here of this exercise.
Uh, I really like the profile. Another Tyrone Tracy kind of clone, a guy that can come in the NFL, run the ball and be a weapon in the receiving game. So I think he has a ton of upside and is definitely a guy that I think is going to be a popular target in the third round, unless he obviously just gets nuked in the NFL draft. That brings me to the 306. I'm going to stick to the running backs as well. And Jaden Blue, running back out of Texas, 5'9", 196 pounds. The speedster ran a 4.38 40 at the combine, but his pro day, people were talking that it was under a 4.30. So he definitely has a lot of speed. He's being mocked in the second round in some NFL mocks. So if you're telling me there's a guy with his kind of ability in the receiving game with that kind of speed in the second round, I think, I mean, he's going to move up the board, and the 306 may be a steal if everything kind of goes his way, but he does need to work on his fumbling issues. I believe he had 5 in 2024, which is not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal at all. And coaches love when their running backs fumble the ball. It just really endears them into their hearts greatly. But no, I mean, Blue's a good prospect here, especially in the third round. Like that call a lot. They're out of Texas, but I'm actually sticking with the Texas guys as a 307 here. So we've done a lot of piggybacking here, guys from the same school
Yeah.
going back to back. One set in every round, which is interesting, but just panned out that way. So going with another Longhorn here at Isaiah Bond at the 307. And I know his mouth wrote a big check that his body couldn't cash walking into the combine with his 40 time.
Love the confidence. Love the confidence.
If you like confidence, this guy's for you. So Joe Sanders might be the 101 on the confidence meter. This
Yo,
guy
100%.
might be 102. But didn't come to fruition. He said he was going to break the record at the combine. It didn't happen for the 40, obviously. But he did still run a 4.39, which is nothing to sneeze at by any means. He's interesting where he doesn't necessarily have like a ton of proven production at the college level. A lot of what he was asked to do was kind of being a field stretcher. And when we think field stretcher, we think long touchdowns. And yeah, sometimes you definitely get that from your field stretchers. And there is some of that on Bond's tape, but a lot of that was kind of scheme based where he was opening up spaces for his teammates to run into, for Matthew Golden to run into, et cetera. So like I think it's one of those cases where we got to hope that here, if you're drafting him, that he can turn into a better pro from the box score standpoint than he was in college. But I think he has some of the tools to do it. He is another guy where landing spot and scheme he ends up in is absolutely critical to his success. But it's the middle of round three, folks. I'm throwing darts here. I'm happy to do one on Bond, and hopefully he can unlock some of that speed as a pro.
And I thought Isaiah Bond played very fast for Texas, and we'll see what happens. I know he was kind of caught up in some off the field issues, but I mean, obviously, we don't know the full story. It sounds like there's both sides are. I mean, obviously, I have two different stories, but hopefully things clear up for him before the NFL draft, and we'll see where he goes. But that brings me to the 308. I'm gonna go Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami, 6 feet. He came in at the combine at 6 feet 217. I think he played more towards the 230 range. Uh, during the season. He obviously wanted to drop some weight for that 40, and then it did help. He ran a 4.51, which was I mean very good. 35-inch vert, 10'4" broad, so decent burst as well. I mean just above average athleticism for a guy of his size, and he runs very hard. I mean, he'll run you right over, and I think Damian Martinez would be an awesome thunder to someone's lightning. So he's a guy that I think can get some decent capital, and I think he'll. I mean, it's almost like a Brian Robinson type, where I mean, no nonsense, run you over, strong physical
Yeah.
back, and obviously Brian Robinson has been very successful in his first few years in the NFL.
Yeah, big system fits used for Martinez. I agree with you that he cut some weight for the 40. But he can carry a load for you. I mean, he had 3 productive seasons in college, and another type of guy I like taking swings out here at this stage of drafts. But for my 309 here, ended up going Harold Finn Jr. out of Bowling Green. And with my last pick, I took a guy who didn't necessarily have the counting stats, but maybe had some other traits that we think would be able to translate to the pro game. This is the complete opposite. Harold Fannin, if you didn't know this, he led the nation in receiving with 117 receptions and receiving yards with over 1,500. And that's not just tight ends, folks, mind you. That's all players in the nation. So he absolutely crushed in terms of the box score and all that. There's some questions as if he can hold up as a blocker and if he can get off press coverage at the next level, if he can separate. We'll see on that. But ultimately, it's 309. It's a heavy premium format. I'll just pay this price to see if he can unlock even a shred of that at the NFL level. And if he can do that, he's going to be a producer in this format. And it's late enough here where the risk is very much mitigated.
I do agree. I mean, a guy that produced that much in college, you'd hope would translate to the NFL. I was very disappointed in his athletic testing. I mean, he is an undersized tight end at 6'3", 240. So it's not like he's going to be in there and be an inline blocker. I mean, this guy's going to be drafted to be a receiving threat. And I like to see my tight ends very athletic, and a 4.71, a 34-inch vert, a 9 foot 10-inch broad, which is under 10 feet. Not ideal. I mean, his three cone was under 7, but I mean, his 20-yard shuttle 4.39. I just was hoping to see slightly better numbers for a guy of his size and a guy of that. I mean, with those counting stats, as you said, but we'll see what happens. But as we keep saying in this format, definitely a good dart to throw here at the end of the third round. That brings me at the 310. I'm going to go Jalen Royals, receiver out of Utah State, 6 feet, 205, 4.42 40-yard dash. School record 15 touchdowns in 2023. In 2024, he was second team All Mountain West, led the team with 55 receptions, 834 receiving yards. He started 7 games this year before he missed the rest of the season with a foot injury. But Jalen Royals here at the 310. I think I've seen him go much earlier than this, but he's a guy end of the third round. Wouldn't mind taking a dart. Chad Reuter has him going round 4, 106 to the Patriots, so he'd instantly be our second best receiver.
Yeah. Not saying a whole hell of a lot there, but yeah, I mean, it'd be a good landing spot for opportunity, absolutely, for Royals. And I think landing spot's another guy, another situation here where that's going to be key for how he pans out as a pro. For my final pick in this draft, the 311, I'm going Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. And if you and I had a time machine we could step into and we roll back the clocks 1 year, just this time a year ago, and say like, where's he going to go? Where do we think he's going to get drafted? It would be inconceivable that we're talking about Gordon being like a fringe undrafted guy in a 3 round
Agree.
mock, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, that's why it sucks to be in a Devy league.
Oh, oh, brutal. If you took him like in the top 5 in a Devy league, like, oh my goodness, like you're absolutely brutal. But hey, I mean, hey, here we are. Here we
Yeah,
are. We're
here we
talking
are.
Ollie Gordon as the 311 week before the NFL draft. Ran for just 880 yards in 12 games in 2024 after a 2023 campaign where he went absolutely nuclear, over 2,000 scrimmage yards as a sophomore. Won the 2023 Doak Walker Award for the nation's most outstanding running back. I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again here on the show. 7 of the last 9 winners of this award, who are currently in the NFL, have had at least one RB1 finish on their resume. The ones who did not do that are Bryce Love and Deonta Foreman, both of whom suffered massive injuries early in their careers. In Love's case, it derailed it entirely. But he is a big back here, 6'1", 226 pounds, ran a lumbering, we'll say 4.61, 40 at the combine. Maybe he lands on a committee somewhere and he gets a chance to be a short yardage back in a good offense. I think it would be great if he could, just use that frame to punch in scores. He did that a ton in college. I just saw this pick as a pure lottery ticket, and I'm like, hey, if I can get a Doak Walker winner, maybe some NFL team can get some semblance of that out of him as at the pro level, and maybe he can salvage a career for himself. And we're taking shots here, my man. So this is the lottery ticket I went with here with my last pick in this draft.
Yeah, as you said, just a guy that kind of fell from grace this year. It kind of reminds me of the Chuba Hubbard experience, where it was similar, where he was absolutely insane, and then he came back to school, and everything kind of fell apart for him. And I mean, it's funny they both went to the same school too. So
Mm-hmm.
hey, maybe it's the program here, but I mean, Chuba Hubbard, obviously, I mean, he was left for dead, and look at the year he had last year in Carolina. So I mean, you just never know what can happen. Obviously, I mean, he what he put like on tape and what he did to win the Doak Walker Award. I mean, he has it in him to be great. So it's just funny kind of how these things happen. So I wish Ollie Gordon the best, and I apologize for everybody who took him early in those Debbie formats.
Debbie is a tough
But
game, folks. Tough
yes,
game.
yes, yes, it is. That brings us to Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick here. And I went with the almost certain bust because he's a wide receiver out of TCU.
There you go.
Jack Beck here. 6'1", 214. Okay burst, but I mean, very quick in the three cone in the shuttle, 6.84 in the three cone, 4.21 in the 20-yard shuttle here. Second team All Big 12 Conference. He had 62 receptions, 1,034 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns. And he's a guy that I think he has the physical tools, the size, and right now he's getting projected round two, round three. Zerline has him round two. Reuter has him pick 77 of the New York Jets in round three. But I do think I think if he wasn't going to TCU, I think people would talk about him a little more. But I think at the 312, Jack Beck, a guy I'm willing to take a shot on. I mean, the 312, and this will be, I mean, there's guys that we didn't talk about that could easily overtake a few of these guys that in the third round based on draft capital and whatnot. But Jack Beck, I liked what I seen from him and was willing to take him at the last pick.
Well, the good news for Jack Beck is that he doesn't have a very high bar to clear. um,
No, no, he does
to
not.
to make you forget about like guys like Josh Doxson and Quentin Johnston. So, you know, we could say that about him at least. But
Yes.
uh, we'll recap the third round quickly here for you. 301, Bayshell Tootin, running back. 302, Alec Ailmanor out of Stanford. The 303 was DJ Giddens out of Kansas State. 304, Mason Taylor out of LSU. 305, Brashard Smith out of SMU. 302, the 306 is Jaden Blue. 307, Isaiah Bond out of Texas. 308, Damian Martinez out of Miami. 309, Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. 310, Jalen Royals out of Utah State. 311, Ollie Gordon, running back out of Oklahoma State. And 312, Jack Beck out of known wide receiver University, TCU. That's what we have, folks, for our 3-round mock draft. If you like this exercise, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you're tuning into all the Sunday Surefire action. And we're gonna have a lot more coming up here post NFL draft, where we finally get those landing spots that we've been looking forward to so much, and then we'll kind of see how the pieces are fitting together leading into the heart of Dynasty draft season. So it's a lot of fun stuff coming down the pike here, Ethan. Any closing thoughts for us here before we dip?
Like I said, one of the best times the NFL calendar, the dynasty calendar, the NFL draft. So I'm going to be locked and loaded next week.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to get to it, my man. Until next time, folks. Peace.